Hey, Larken Rose here. If I tried to cover every single stupid authoritarian thing that Trump did, it would be more than a full-time job. And mostly that's beside the point of anything that actually matters. On a daily basis, there's stupid crap happening, no matter who's in power, and at every single level of the ruling class down to like local idiots doing stupid stuff. So I'm going to use a particular example from Trump today, but it's to make a larger point about how stupid it is for anyone to still think that government solutions to anything are ever actually a solution. So this one is particularly ridiculous and possibly catastrophic. I mean, he's this weird, spoiled brat on a power trip. He thinks like a dictator. Notice how rarely he talks about, well, we're going to do this legislation. It's just like, the executive order. Everything he does is just, he wants complete credit. He wants to unilaterally be able to do anything he wants. And so he'll have his lawyers just make up idiotic excuses for him trying to do orders that he has no power to do. And then judges that he appointed have to tell him, yeah, you can't just pretend that a gang already in the U.S. counts as a foreign country invading and so use the Alien Enemies Act. That's bogus. But he absolutely thinks and functions like a dictator. He wants to be able to just unilaterally do anything he wants. Now, by way of government, doing anything he wants will always mean using violence. So he was already a con man. He was already, he's a bullshitter. That's what he's good at. If the target audience is dumb enough. He's not even good at being a convincing bullshitter to people with brains. But there are enough people without that he can do quite well for himself being a bullshitter of idiots, which is what he is. But it used to be that he had to sort of use his own money or borrowed money and do the voluntary version of bullshitting sort of voluntary. He would stab people in the back and not pay bills and all sorts of stuff. But then you give him political power, and now he gets to be on this little power trip where he can use the violence of the state to do things. So, the example I'm going to use today, here's his tweet. You've probably seen it before. The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. You mean they're offering to pay people to do work? Oh, it's so unfair. You're literally complaining about people outside the country are paying American filmmakers to make films. And you're complaining. Hollywood and many other areas within the USA are being devastated. Oh goody, let me guess, some government violence will fix this problem. Hollywood's mostly being devastated by cranking out shit that nobody wants to watch. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. Can't even say it without laughing. Yeah, just stick the label of national security on absolutely anything as an excuse to use dictatorial powers. Like, does anybody not recognize that that's what he does about everything now? Everything's an invasion or national security. You're just talking about an industry not doing very well because maybe they're getting jobs overseas because somebody over there is dumb enough to pay the money to go make a film over there. National security. It's so freaking stupid. But aside from the fact that he's a spoiled, delusional child, look at the solution. Government violence. That's the only solution he has at his disposal, is government violence. So, therefore, he also says, it is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. A lot of Hollywood has done that for a long time, just like Trump does, just like his stooges do, just like the liars do, just like that creepy weasel Stephen Miller coming out and talking about how children are going to be trained to love their nation and pledge their loyalty and mindlessly be good subjects for mein Führer. I mean, Americans who are patriotic and stuff, which is all propaganda too. So he's not against propaganda in any way, shape, or form. He just wants the propaganda that serves him, not the propaganda that serves somebody else. Therefore, says Mango Mussolini, I am authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting 100% tariffs on any and all movies coming into our country, that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again. Really, Trumpites, do you look at this with pride and go, yeah, that's my guy. He represents me. Having this weird tantrum. This is literally like the old royalty, inbred royalty, where you have some idiot who grew up as a prince and was so spoiled. He's just a spoiled moron. He doesn't understand anything, but he's perfectly happy to wield his power and his violence to get his way in everything. That's what Trump is. There's nothing like a philosophy. There's nothing like a coherent idea. It's just, I get my way. If not, it's so unfair. It's so unfair if I don't get my way in absolutely everything. So I'm hereby issuing an order to... First of all, a tariff is usually a tax on a thing. I'm not even sure how you implement a tariff on zeros and ones. Like, it's information coming in, unless he just means like the physical DVDs, but that's not how those things happen anymore. Maybe he doesn't know that because he's also an idiot. Anyway, aside from the logistics of like it's not like there's a thing showing up at the border that customs can stick a tag on and you can pay a tax on. It gets transmitted through wires. Has nobody explained this to Trump? Anyway, be that as it may, assuming that there is actually a way to rob the crap out of Americans trying to watch movies made in foreign countries, and aside from all the damage that's going to do to American filmmakers who want to, like, go film a scene in Prague and film a scene in Australia and film, nope, outside of the country, no, we can't have that. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to tax the crap out of anything that doesn't happen inside our little plantation. So, but look at the mentality and just look at the overall approach. Imagine you're actually a good person on the throne. Like, that doesn't happen. So it'll take a lot of imagination. Imagine you actually wanted to help, like, the American movie industry. You could start by suggesting that they stop making shit. Because most of what they're cranking out is just leftist, inane, recycled bullshit. So people don't want to watch it. There's some good stuff every once in a while. Jones Plantation. Have you seen Jones Plantation? Oh, wait, that wasn't Hollywood, was it? Yeah, that was like an independent thing. They just raised funds on their own because, yeah, they were making a movie that Hollywood probably wouldn't ever make. Anyway, never mind that aside. If you actually wanted to help the American movie industry and what you had at your disposal was political power, how would you do it? Well, you could just rob a bunch of people and give the movie industry a bunch of money. That's how government often does it. It's subsidies. We're going to subsidize these farmers by robbing the crap out of the American people and then paying these farmers to keep growing something that isn't actually profitable right now. So those farmers benefit, everybody else loses. Not only does everybody who got robbed by the ruling class to hand out free money, not only do they all lose, but the overall economy loses because you just paid somebody to produce something of little or no value. Because if it was actually of value, other people would be willing to pay for it. If you're paying farmers to grow something or other, it's because the actual price people are willing to pay them voluntarily for what they're growing isn't enough for them to stay in business. Which means in a free society, they would be out of business, or they'd have to grow something else, or retool and change what they're doing or do something so they're actually producing value that other people want to voluntarily buy. That's the magic of free trade, which we have nothing like free trade. But the magic of actual free trade, if we were ever to see it, it's that it's self-correcting. It makes what people want. Whether what they want is smart or stupid or whatever. Like, people can want shitty movies. Lots of people seem to. And you can make money off of selling people shitty movies. But it has value to them, which is why they pay for it. So the moment you bring in subsidies, like if he were to say, we're going to rob all these people and just give money to Hollywood, which is not what he's saying here. Maybe what he's going to say tomorrow, who knows? He makes up all sorts of socialist bullshit at the drop of a hat. But if you do that, it robs a bunch of people, it hands out free money to a bunch of people, and it basically incentivizes the creation of stuff that is of lesser or no value to humanity in general, or customers in general. So that's a bogus solution. The only other thing you can do other than handing out stolen property is violently interfere with voluntary trade. And that's what Trump is doing. He's violently interfering with Americans' ability to pay to watch movies made outside of the U.S. That's all it is. So any American cheering for this is an idiot, but I mean, they are still Trump supporters. They're literally just cheering at Trump, telling them, if you choose to watch a movie that was made outside of the country, I'm going to steal a bunch of your money. Yay, that's our guy. He's doing what I voted. Then you're a moron, because he's just doing it to you. He's not taxing foreign countries. He's not. Now, him interfering with international trade hurts people on both sides. Like, it hurts foreign filmmakers and it hurts American customers who wanted to watch that stuff. So yeah, it does harm over there, but they're not paying the taxes. They're just not getting the business. You're paying the taxes because Americans are the only ones that the American government can tax. Duh. Or people who are here, whether they're non-resident aliens or foreign corporations and re-engaged to do business here and stuff like that. But they can only tax people who are here. So it's the U.S. ruling class taxing people here more than before and pretending it's we want movies made in America again. First of all, I don't. Like, I want movies that don't suck, and I don't care where they're made. For example, the best movie I have seen in a very long time was, this may sound weird if you haven't seen it, Godzilla -1. It's like, a Godzilla movie? What the hell are you talking about? Just, I know how weird that sounds. As far as acting and writing and character development, not to mention the effects, but that's secondary. It's the best movie I've seen in a long time. It was made in Japan. It was made for a way smaller budget than Hollywood ever uses. And then very shortly thereafter, Hollywood spent an astronomical amount to make their own Godzilla movie, which was just shit. Amanda and I were laughing hysterically at some of the reviews, one of which was titled, oh no, what was it? Hectic Gibberish, which perfectly sums up what they spent like a couple $100 million to produce Hectic Gibberish. That was the American version. So, no, given that the choice between those two Godzilla movies, one from Japan, one from Hollywood, that one produced for like 1/10 of the budget or something. I'd like the Japanese one. Thank you very much. But don't worry, Trump is here to rob you if you want to have the choice of what to watch. Because making America great again. But it's just, again, this is just one example that illustrates the fact that anybody looking for any government solution to anything, all it can do is either forcibly redistribute money, which Trump is now a fan of. He openly referred to a tax on rich people as a redistribution. So now, I guess communism is great when Trump does it. So, but either they can redistribute money or they can just violently interfere with voluntary trade. That's all they can do. That's all you can do with government force. And it's the same thing if a Democrat was in there. So like Trump is now doing exactly what Biden did and say, we're going to lower, except we're going to lower pharmaceutical prices instead of we're going to, we've passed it, we've done, you know the thing. Okay, either way, it was two inane morons promising to lower drug prices. Huh. How? And I even saw a bunch of pro-freedom people going, oh, good, because they're ridiculously priced, which they are, because of government-created monopolies and government coercion being used to enrich Big Pharma. Which I don't know how much more obvious that could have been than the last few years. But hardly anybody's asking, how? How are you magically making prices go down? Is it communistic centralized planning price controls? Because that always works great, doesn't it? Nope. Communism, it's bad when they do it, but sometimes we got to do it. And when we do it, it's great. It's great. Communism's great. I have the best communists doing the best version of communism. Literally, he's out there in the past few days advocating price controls and redistribution of wealth, and calling it that. Anyway, be that as it may, same thing from the left. People go, oh yay, prices going down. How? And they talk about this oh, we're going to lower gas prices. How? How do people even think that would be accomplished? And most people don't at all think about it. They just kind of think government's this magical thing that can pass a law and stuff just happens. There's no cause and effect. It's just magic. They just wave a magic wand and prices go down. It's no, that's not how anything happens. They use violence. Your choices are limited. You get robbed more, and then prices don't go down anyway. And they were like, well, we had to make the hard choices, and it'll take time, and here's a list of our usual excuses for why your life got worse, and us and all our rich buddies just got richer. But screw you, but don't worry, we'll have some new promise tomorrow that we won't fulfill either, and you'll be dumb enough to cheer for it. The main difference about Trump is that he's dumb enough and so mentally unstable and insecure that his bullshit ideas just get blabbed out there on a daily basis instead of being sort of formulated into something that can sound convincing to people who aren't that educated and don't think that much, but they're not utter morons. Like Obama, if he came out with a plan to do this, like his Obamacare, socialized medicine, we're going to force you to buy private insurance, which was just bonkers and evil. By the way, why didn't the Republicans undo that? Why did Trump come out and say, well, we're going to fix it and make it better until we can replace it with something different? Okay, so the left brought in just obvious centralized authoritarian collectivist bullshit. And then when you got in power, instead of going, well, get rid of that, it's like, well, we're going to change it a little bit until we can replace it with our own collectivist bullshit. Oh, golly gee, it's almost like none of you believe in freedom. But anyway, another side tangent. Sorry about that. But if people just think for 2 seconds, how would they lower prices? Imagine you're one of the people who, make some drug. Hey, I just found out that this plant has this effect. If you grind it up and you'd make a tea out of it, it seems to have this health benefit. Cool, I'll try it out and check it out and see if anybody's interested. Do you have a license from government? Oh, no. Have you jumped through these 8 million regulatory hoops? Oh, no. Have you gone through this massive maze required to do anything of the sort that was put there by Big Pharma petitioning government to make sure there wouldn't be competition? Nope, you haven't, so you can't. You're fired, you lose. And so do all your potential customers who might have benefited if your product was actually good. Well, what if you're a filmmaker and you're in Australia and you're trying to make a movie? And you're like, okay, we raised some fundings and this may be big in America. I think a lot of Americans who miraculously still have a little bit of money might like it. Oh, except some dumbass on the throne over there just told a bunch of dumbasses who voted for him that if they want to see my movie, they have to pay him 100%. They have to pay their own ruling class the same price as the movie. Like, we made the movie, they didn't. But the ruling class over there is insisting that their idiotic people who voted for it have to pay the ruling class as much as they're paying for the actual movie, just for the privilege of them being able to see the movie that we made. That's the literal reality of what Trump is describing. And of course, Trumpites aren't going to admit that. I mean, more and more Trumpites are starting to be, well, I'm not in favor of this. Okay, if you sort of finally reluctantly admit that there's something you don't like, but overall, I still think he's better. Okay, so you're still a butt kisser with no principles, and you're still just making excuses for just open centralized control and communist bullshit. But if they're not even going to say they're opposed to it, what's the excuse for this? How do you pretend, especially if you're pretending to be a conservative? How do you suddenly turn on a dime and pretend that you think centralized authoritarian interference with free trade is the path to freedom or greatness or something? What the hell do you think that's a path to other than a dystopian nightmare? So, and that's true of every single political solution to everything. And I could run down the list and make this a 9-hour video, but I'm not going to. Where we're going to reduce the drugs on the streets. How? We're going to reduce gun crime. How? We're going to magically make the happy stuff happen. Everyone's going to get free stuff. How? Oh, by way of violence that's going to have unintended consequences, or intended consequences if you understand how they actually function, because they're not trying to help you. They're trying to make you dependent and subservient and helpless. Yay! Same with Trump. But when people can so easily identify that the political solutions of the other side are bogus, but then think, well, political solutions from our side, he's brave to do this. It's pathetic to watch. And the height of this pathetic hypocrisy, which I'm seeing a lot of, is the number of people, I'm seeing mostly conservatives do it, but I see both sides, where they point out, well, you're all against this that we're doing, but you thought it was great when you were doing it. Ha ha ha. Okay, take a breath. Because you know that point you just made? They did the same thing as your guy, and they're complaining now because your guy's doing it, but they liked it when their guy is doing it. You're doing the same thing in your meme, you imbecile. You're the one saying, this is great because our guy is doing it. You guys used to do it, and you didn't complain then. And they're too dense to notice that their meme applies to them just as much as the other side. And so, yeah, anyone looking for a government solution to anything, ask yourself, how the hell do you think that's going to happen? And then people are going to learn the hard way. Oh, that didn't work. Like Trump throwing tariffs around. It's so unfair the way we've been mistreated. Americans have been mistreated by being able to buy stuff from foreign countries. That's a weird way to mistreat people. China's never taxed me because they can't, because I'm not in China. The ruling class has never taxed me. Russia has never taxed me. No other ruling class has ever taxed me or robbed me into poverty or put me in a cage for a year, except the ruling class that Trump is now a part of. And before that, Biden was a part of it. And Obama, Bush, whatever, go back forever. Those are the ones robbing you. Those are the only ones who can rob you. And when you cheer for them robbing you and forcibly dominating you because you think it's a solution to some problem, whether the problem is real or made up or exaggerated, when you're literally cheering for people whose solution to every problem is to limit your freedom and take your money, you might be a gullible moron. So, I should probably have said that in a nicer way, but I don't have the patience right now. If you think what Trump is doing here, or in the other 175 bajillion stupid orders he's going to throw out in his little dictator mode where he thinks he can improve America by way of violent interference with free exchange and free travel and free trade. Don't worry, I will make everything great by way of government violence. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. You don't gotta do it. Stop cheering for this shit.